So someone came to me once and said, Nathan, how can I master my mind? How can I gain mind mastery? And I, like a sensei, said, you must first understand it. You see, in order to master a thing, you must first understand it. You must first be acquainted with its nature. And that is why the first step in mind mastery must involve an understanding of mind. So in this particular video, we're going to go into some introductory concepts in the understanding of mind, such that in later videos, we can build on this foundation, and you also in your life know what's going on in your mind, know how to change certain things, and know how to create whatever outcomes that you seek. It's no longer a question of what's going on, why is this happening? You'll know. But the cool thing is, this idea of mind can actually be extrapolated into other things in life, other things around you, other systems, from your family to your job, and you'll kind of start to notice some patterns around it. So I think it's a very good place to start. Now, of course, then one might say, well, why do I need to understand my mind? As if they didn't hear what I just said. But I would go further in saying, if you take everybody, successful people and quote unquote unsuccessful people or not so successful people, and you even out all the variables, you adjust for everything. The one variable, the one thing that cannot be adjusted for is mind. That happens to be the difference between a person. Because you can adjust for age, you can adjust for sex, you can adjust for social background, economic status, but you cannot recreate mind. And so that's your focus point. That is your point of power, okay? And that is why that is what we want to change. Now, so we're going to start with a definition of mind. You know, growing up, whenever we started a new subject, they would say, okay, let's define this. Because when you define it, you actually create a good contextual frame for it. So the question is, what is mind? Nathan, what is mind? And I thought about this idea, and I wrote down a definition, actually, I think it was quite brilliant, that came to me. And so listen to it and tell me what you think. Mind is a collection of processes. I originally wrote mental processes. You can say they're mental processes, but not necessarily. Mind is a collection of processes that exist as a function of consciousness. I repeat, mind is a collection of mental processes that exist as a function. So I'm going to do this first. Hopefully it'll make sense to you and it'll help. That exist as a function of consciousness. Consciousness, mental processes, a collection, okay, it could be 5, it could be however many, right? Of course, 6 and 7. But this, the mental processes, which we can call mind, exist as a function of consciousness. So behind every mind is a consciousness. That is a very important concept I want you to understand. Mind is a collection of mental processes that exist as a function of consciousness. Our planet is littered with minds. Minds that are higher, lower, plants, animals, all sorts of minds, but back of every mind is a consciousness, okay? And different processes. Now, what we want to do, we're not going to focus on all the other kinds of mind. However, in this video, we want to focus on the human mind, because that's the one that's important. Now, part of the reason why that's actually quite cool is that an understanding of the human mind, its processes, its structure, will give you an understanding of all other kinds of mind around you, because fortunately, we have the highest level of mind on this planet. So, I hope that made sense. And so let's begin now with the arrangement of mind, okay? How mind is arranged. Because here's the thing, mind is an abstract idea. The mind is not a concrete thing, but we have to bring it into a little bit more of a concrete place so we can communicate. So I can communicate that concept and other concepts around it too. So what we do now is we're going to use a circle to illustrate that idea. This is what we call the theory of mind. It's a theory of how the mind is arranged. And I'm going to use this little circle here, okay? So now this ends up being a handsome boy or girl. Let this represent you. and this is your mind, and this is your body. So I'm going to put a B here. The mind is obviously larger than the body for a reason, because the body is a servant of the mind, okay? It responds to the commands of the mind. The mind controls the body. Now, the mind now is separated into two distinct fields, okay? Let's call this the upper room, the lower room. This upper room is in reality what we call the conscious mind. This is the conscious mind that is aware, okay? This is the outside world. This conscious mind is the one that is thinking. This is the one that takes in external input from the outside world. It does so by use of the five senses, okay? So touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. These little things are almost like antenna. It's connection to the outside world. It takes in signal. It takes in input, okay? So this conscious mind, its purpose is to sort and analyze. Sort and analyze data. And that's it, okay? Sort, analyze. Okay? This is the part of you that is smart. So it takes in the sensory data, processes it, sorts, analyzes it. It does the sorting and analyzation primarily because the goal of the mind in general is to keep you alive. Okay? The evolution of consciousness. Evolution of consciousness only really happens if the being is alive. Okay? So as the being remains alive, it can advance this whole idea of growth and expansion. So its primary duty is to keep you alive. How does it do that? It does that by sorting and analyzing data. This is the part of you that is taking in the sensory input. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Now, this is the subconscious mind. Its primary function is just basically storing and execution of data. So, this is what we call the feeling mind. Okay? I want you to think maybe the conscious mind has eyes. The subconscious does not. The subconscious is blind. It just feels. Okay? It feels. That's it. The conscious mind has the power and the ability of choice. Okay? It can make decisions. It can choose. Because it has the ability to think. It has the ability to sort data. Subconscious doesn't have that ability. It only just feels. Okay? Now, so here's how it works. Sensory data is taken in from the conscious mind, sorted, analyzed, passed down into the subconscious. The subconscious is where most of the power lays, okay? Now, the subconscious, according to scientists, very conservatively, the most conservative estimate you'll get is that the subconscious mind is 88% of your mind. The conscious mind is only a measly 12%. And you realize that if that was an election, who would win? So you start to see what's going on here. This is only 12% of the mind. Its only job is to sort, analyze data. This one's 88%. It has most of the horsepower. Okay, so this is how the mind is set up. You have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. Okay, I want to keep this, I'm going to wipe this here. I want to keep it a little bit clean because I have a couple other concepts to introduce to you. Okay, conscious, subconscious, body. 88%, 12%. Okay, this one can think, it can choose. This guy or gal cannot choose. Okay, it is purely what we call subjective. It only accepts information. Really think of it as blind. Whatever this brother or sister or this part passes on to it is what it accepts. It doesn't have the ability to accept or reject anything. It only accepts. Okay? All right. So now, here's what happens with the mind. I want to introduce you to an idea that affects us all. This is the reason we do so much personal growth, is to try to fix some of these things. Once upon a time, this is how it all started. It all started with the existence of only a subconscious mind, okay? You could say this started when, primitive man came around. Primitive man once was not really self-aware. They were pretty much like the animals. This is what the animals have. The animals have a subconscious mind. They don't really have, there are very few mammals or animals that have a conscious mind. Most of them are unaware. But this is also how we started many years ago, many hundreds of million years ago. We only had a subconscious mind. But we still replay that process out when a child is born. A child is born and a child comes into the world with a subconscious mind. No conscious mind at all, okay? And in the first few years of life, this child begins receiving input from the outside world. Okay, all sorts of sensory data pours in. Remember, in the introduction, you had that conscious mind to help sort and analyze and do all of these things. Well, when a child is born, the child doesn't have anything. Whatever you feed it is what it's going to eat. Wherever it has no choice. Okay, and that is why how you program a child, how you train a child affects what the child becomes, because they did not have a critical mind or a conscious mind to accept or reject data. Okay, now, so as the child gets older, starting especially at the age of 7, this child begins to develop what we call a critical factor. This critical factor is actually a barrier between the subconscious and the conscious mind. And let us say over the years, this conscious mind begins to grow. Okay, it starts to form and form and form and form. And that is why by the time the child is 12, this child already has an opinion. They don't want to do certain things. If they grew up thinking that dad, if dad said, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, they grow up at the age of 12, they think they're idiots, right? But this is what happens. Everybody develops a conscious mind as we grow up. And then this critical factor, okay, so there's a part of the mind that is like a barrier. This is the no man's land between the conscious and the subconscious mind. So now you have a conscious mind. Let us say you're 16. You have a subconscious. Okay, I want to introduce you to this idea. In the mind, you have collected over these years what we call concepts. You have collected concepts. We use this word all the time. Where you say, hey, do you know about this? You say, no, I have no concept of that. What is a concept? A concept is a fixed idea in the mind. Okay? In the conscious or the subconscious mind. Just basically a fixed idea. But here's the thing though. Before you develop this conscious mind, remember, you were collecting a bunch of concepts. You were collecting a bunch of fixed ideas negative, positive, all sorts of fixed ideas. A collection of them in a cluster, a bunch of fixed ideas. You have all sorts of stuff going on in that mind. So before you even start reasoning, choosing, you've got a lot of programs in there, okay? So concepts, fixed idea. A fixed idea in the mind, okay? Now, this is how it works. You receive a fixed idea, okay? You grew up being told, let's say this child grew up being told that they were stupid. Okay, you've got this crazy fixed idea in there. I'm going to use a red here. It deserves it. And then later on, you want to do something great. You want to do something fantastic with your life. And it requires you to do something smart, okay? To do something brave and intelligent. Let's use I. And in your mind, you say, you know what? I want to be a college professor. I want to be a researcher. I want to go to the moon. But gosh, somewhere in you, you have this concept, but I'm stupid. Because daddy told me I was stupid. And I believe him because daddy is the smartest person I ever know or that will ever exist. That was also a concept you accepted without discrimination. So by the time you start to try to even choose your concepts as an adult, you're already starting from behind. And now the new concepts that you receive are oftentimes received only if there isn't an existing concept here. Because every new concept that attempts to go into the subconscious will get checked. So this critical mind, its primary function is to keep you from accepting a whole bunch of new stuff randomly, right? It should have showed up when you were, 1 year old, but no. Now it's the bouncer. Is trying to filter things from coming in and going out of the subconscious mind, which is a really good idea. But the problem is it also begins now to filter the new concepts that you wish to accept, okay? The new ideations that you wish to take in, and it says, okay, idea about self. This is what we call self-concept. You wish to receive a new idea about self. And it says, okay, idea about self, I am intelligent. It runs a scan of the file record and it runs into this file called self-concept. Inside that file says, I'm stupid. Idea rejected. Okay? Because the body will always only act based off of what the subconscious mind does or accepts. Remember? 88% of the vote, 12%. This is insignificant. The subconscious rules. The body is always subjective to the subconscious. Okay? So, this is the order of creation. This is how it works. I hope this is making sense. The conscious mind has the ability to program the subconscious, to impress upon the subconscious. The subconscious then impresses on the body, and the body expresses into the world as action, okay? Everything you do is based on what the subconscious impresses on you. The conscious mind cannot skip the game to say, oh, hey, let's act like we're intelligent. No. It cannot skip that because that would be defying the order of creation. Anything that is to be created in the human body, even out there in the world, in nature, must follow this order of creation. It goes from conscious, subconscious, body. Okay? Conscious, subconscious, body. That's how it works. And so if you find yourself executing a program, doing something that you're not quite happy with and you don't know how to change it, you don't know why the heck you're doing it, because you are running a particular concept in the subconscious mind. In another video in the future, I'm going to show you several ways to change some of these concepts. Because the problem is, every time you try to change a concept, okay, the subconscious mind is incredibly resistant to change. Every time you try to change a concept, you get a zap. You get anxiety. There's one of the rules in psychotherapy that a concept cannot be changed without anxiety. If you're trying to change an existing concept, trying to override it, okay? Say this child or this person is saying, I'm smart, so I'm going to go on this podium and I'm going to give this talk. This part of you that says I'm stupid is going to express in the body as anxiety, because now there is dissonance, there is incongruence between the two sides of you, okay? I hope that is beginning to make sense as to how the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the body co-create, coexist. And so in order to create a harmonious life, I'm going to end with this, and I'll pick up in another video, is that you must have harmony. Okay, the Buddha said that happiness, pardon me, that happiness is when what you say, what you think, and what you do are in alignment. What is in your conscious mind is the same as what's in your subconscious mind, and then what you do will be the same. What you express in the world will be in harmony. Okay? This is what you're looking for. So you want to start asking yourself, do the things that I consciously want in my life match up with what I have in my mind? Okay? If I want $1 million, let me change this here. My circle was pretty poor. If I want to be, let's say, a world-renowned speaker, or if I want $1 million, or if I want to run my company, okay? Let us say you have, let's use money because it's a fixed amount, $1 million. In your conscious mind, your subconscious is only programmed for $50,000 because daddy said, ain't nobody needing no more than $50,000 to live, right? You can get anything you want for $50,000. Maybe he was trying to justify the fact that he never earned more than 50K and was trying to make himself feel good, but you heard it and you accepted it. And now you hold this idea of an acceptable income. Anything above that is greed, right? That's what you were told. Guess what your body will do? Your actions will almost always try to stay consistent with that, because your mind also is trying to maintain balance, homeostasis, harmony with the outside world, okay? Everything you do is trying to create a state of homeostasis. What the mind and the body does has to be in harmony. So in order for your actions to change, to give you the desired outcome, this concept in the subconscious mind must change to fit. You may have to change any other surrounding beliefs, right, around this idea. You may have to change the fact that dad never knew it all. There's some children who believe that their parents could never be wrong. You may have to change that concept. So it'll allow you to change this concept also. You may have to change the concept because there may be other concepts that are connected, right? It's like a web. You may have a bunch of concepts that are connected. Once you change the concept that dad is not always right, you may have to change the concept, okay, it is acceptable to earn 7 figures, okay? And then you may have to change the concept that when I earn 7 figures, I'm not gonna go to hell. When I earn 7 figures, I'm not greedy, right? Because a concept will usually not stand by itself. They're associated concepts, like a web of ideas. So you'd have to go in and look at other associated ideas related to that. Because say you say, okay, it's okay to earn $1 million, but you think you're greedy, you think you're going to go to hell. If that's your belief system, well, guess what? You may still not act out that $1 million because there are other things that are standing in your way. So I hope this idea makes a lot of sense. I hope it gives you something positive to think about, to work on, okay? Again, before I finish, I want to repeat that definition. Mind is a collection of processes that exist as a function of consciousness. You have a mind. You are not your mind, nor are you your body. There is a consciousness that possesses this thing called mind and body, okay? In another video, we'll talk about the very specific processes that run in your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, and how that can work to your favor or to your detriment, and how to realize what's going on. I want to thank you for watching this video. I know it's been a little long, but thank you. And please leave me your comments, leave me your feedback, any questions, anything you don't understand, anything you want re-explained, and I will do it in further videos. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if that's where you're watching this, please feel free to subscribe to any channel or social media that you find this. And no matter what, be the best you can be. See you in the next video.